Hey guys, it's me, Dom Michelle. I decided to start off today's video with some really great thumbnail shots. Because I don't know if this happens to you, but every time I put up a video and they give me three thumbnails, they're the three worst pictures of shots from the video of the entire thing. So I'm trying to give a lot of good opportunities. I know you've been looking at some of my videos. If you haven't yet, scroll backwards and just look at the thumbnails and you're like, why would she choose that one? Of all the ones, why would she choose it? It's because that was the best option I had. Just imagine what the others were like. I do my best, but I'm trying to help, YouTube out here. Just give me some good thumbnails, something really great. I can't wait to see what pops up. Anyhow, okay, let's move on. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. It's another origin story video. Today I'm going to be talking about more in depth how things got started with Fireflight. And it kind of picks up a little bit where the last one left off. I sort of prefaced it a little bit, but I'll go into more detail this time. So it was my senior year in high school. I was getting ready to graduate. I had just felt called by God to do music, but I didn't know how. And I had been involved at church singing here and there, and on the praise team and in the choir, things like that, but just had no concept of how God wanted me to use music in my future whatsoever. So there I was graduating, and I participated in a baccalaureate service. Now, I was in the leadership of FCA, which was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at my school, and every year the FCA would host a baccalaureate service for the graduating seniors. And all the seniors who were graduating would help put on the service and participate. And the cool thing was the entire school would come. They would give all the senior class the day off. It was like a Friday off to come to this baccalaureate service. And it was being hosted at a church where I attended. And one of the youth pastors in the area, he would work all year long, going to all the football games, everything, you name it, any event, getting video footage of all the seniors. And then he would show this video, and then so all the kids would want to come see the video at the end of the year. So that really helps us get a crowd there. So anyhow, at this service, I sang with a friend of mine. His name is Brent. He played guitar, and I sang a Jennifer Knapp song. And it was after that service that Glenn and Wendy approached and asked if I wanted to sing in the band that they'd been working on. Now, Glenn, he had been in a lot of bands before. I think the latest one was one called Cheer Up Charlie, and just none of them worked out. Couldn't get people to be loyal and keep working on it. That one, when he was in a band with a guy named John Schneck, who later went on to be in a band called Reliant K. And he was a super awesome guy. I actually just got to see him tonight with his wife. They live here in Nashville. And anyhow, so he was in all these bands and nothing was ever coming together. And he was kind of feeling like he just needed to give up. And but he felt like God was telling him he should try just one more time. And he needed to keep working on music, whether it was just him and a guitar and nothing else or a whole band. He needed to keep working towards it. So he talked about it with his wife, Wendy, and she agreed that she would support him. And she'd been learning bass guitar. She'd always wanted to play the upright bass, but so he knew she had that bass interest, and he gave her a regular electric bass for I think a birthday present or Christmas or something. And she'd been practicing and learning, and they had been practicing together and working with another drummer and a couple other singers and all that, just trying to see where it would go. And then they saw me sing, because they never heard me sing over myself. They'd always heard me up on stage with the choir and things like that. But at the FCA service, they heard me sing by myself, and they thought, let's ask her. And so they came and they asked me if I would be in the band. And they always joke and say that I only said, only if it's Christian music. And they're like, it's a Christian band. And they're like, okay, let's do it. So anyhow, we decided to start practicing together. So we kind of Glenn had some songs he had written, the lyrics to, and the music. And we had another guy named Justin who was in the band. He went to, me and Glenn and Wendy actually all went to the same church. Wendy's little sister, Danielle, was actually one of my very best friends. And the guy, Brent, who was playing the guitar when I played FCA service, he and Danielle actually ended up getting married, and now they have this huge family. And so everything kind of went full circle. Glenn and Wendy were actually I can't remember if this is before. This must have been after, but they were actually my Sunday school teachers for a while. They were a married couple, and when I was just out of high school, they taught my Sunday school class. So it's kind of funny how things come together sometimes. But so we started practicing together and learning these 3 songs that we had, and we finally got to where we felt like we could play them in front of other people. So we, I think, went and talked to our youth pastor, Mark Sibley, who I mentioned in the last video too, and said, "Hey, we want to play. We're ready." And it's like, "Okay, you guys are gonna play for youth group." So we used to start off the youth group service with music before. So what we did was he came in. He said, "Okay, guys, I'm fixing to introduce you guys to play. What do I tell them your name is? I didn't catch the band name yet." And we were like, "Oh no, we don't have a band name," because we were supposed to be thinking about it, but we hadn't talked about it all. We were so scared to play that we'd just been practicing the songs over and over again and didn't think about anything else. And so when I had been brainstorming before, I thought, what about Fireflight? That sounds kind of cool. And so that was just in the back of my mind. So when we suddenly said, "Oh no, we don't know what our name is," we told Mark, "We don't have one yet. Give us a minute." And so he took off. And then we were all like, "What are we going to do? Should we just say TBA or what? What should we do?" And I said, "Well, I thought Fireflight sounded kind of cool." Just threw it out there. And it was like, "Okay, let's just go with that." And so that's how we got the name Fireflight. And Mark came back and we told him, he went back and introduced us. And we played our 3 songs and we did pretty well, so well that they wanted more music at the end of the night and we didn't have any more music. So we played our 3 more songs one more time. And that was our very first show. And we just continued to practice, and we would practice every Wednesday night. I think we might have practiced 2 times a week at one point because I know we were just doing everything we could to try to make this band work, and it took many years of working hard. I think we were together for 5 years before we got signed or even got forward traction. So it was a long haul. So if you guys are just starting up in a band, things like that, or any kind of project that you're seeking out, sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of times the things that happen overnight, they go away overnight too. So there's something to be said for working hard. And so, like I said, it took us like 5 years. In that time, I went to college and got a degree. Everybody had regular jobs doing that daily grind. And I think that's really what helped us to really appreciate what we had in Fireflight, because we knew what it was like to be in a cubicle. You know, we're like, this is really hard. There's a lot of struggle to it. But, you know, I'd rather be doing this than in the cubicle. So I'm willing to take the hard days and the bad with the good. And we fought and fought for 5 years, trying to get better. We were practicing all the time. Man, our earlier music, we would hate it if you heard it because it was so bad. But it was just part of the process of getting better, you know? And we eventually were like, okay, we've been doing this many years, God. We're not getting, we were in tons of ballad bands. We always lost. All of our little chances never turned into anything. And we thought, okay, either this is just not supposed to happen, or we need to give up, or we got to move forward, God. So we kind of just laid it all on the line, and we made this list of goals. And we said, if we don't reach all these goals in the next year, we're going to take that as a sign from God that we need to just let it go and move forward. And it was a lot of things like find a manager, find a label, like all these things. And so we worked our butts off in that year. And we even had like fundraisers, things like that, to achieve some of the goals we needed, like to get a trailer, different things, so we could be able to try to keep taking the steps forward. Because at that time, we all had regular jobs. We were just, you know, we'd travel as far as we could go before we had to get back to work on Monday. And or we'd wait for our vacation time, and we spent all of our vacation time, you know, trying to drive all up to North Carolina and get back before vacation time was over to do as many shows as we could, playing everywhere. And within the end of that year, we had reached every goal on the list. And it was right then or not long after that we ended up getting signed, and with Provident and Sony. Well, actually, I think it was Flickr first, which was a little baby label that was started by Audio Adrenaline. And then Audio Adrenaline got bought by the bigger label. So that's how everything got launched. It wasn't an overnight success story. It started in a small town called Eustis, and just kind of grew. And it took a long time and a lot of hard work, and we started off terrible. So maybe if you're just starting something out and you feel like you're terrible, maybe you are. But that doesn't mean you should quit. You should keep fighting and keep pushing forward. And most of all, I think I know what it was a turning point in my life and was kind of the night and day difference between when we finally moved forward. I used to was so afraid to be on stage, and I was always afraid I was messing things up. And at some point, I realized, this everything good that Fireflight does is because of God. It's what God did. It wasn't ever us in the first place. So it's really freeing. We obviously still have to do our best and work towards excellence, but at the same time, the good things that came, they weren't from us anyways. So we just needed to let that go and realize this was all about God and not about ourselves and our performance. And for me personally, when I did that, it seemed like it was within, it was that next year that suddenly things started to move forward. And I think it was realizing that, this is all about God. It's going to be a God's power and his timing. And and that really was true for us. So that's some of the origin story of how Fireflight came together and started moving forward as a band, to the band that you know and love now. And we love you too. See if I get some more, some really great thumbnails here. I look smart there. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned because there's going to be more videos coming in the future. Love you. Pew, pew, pew.